Hey, everybody. Welcome to Game Mess Mornings with me, Jeff Grubb, your host from giantbomb.com. Thank you for tuning in. In this episode, we're going to be talking about Nvidia blaming the gamers and the fate of a major sequel after its studio embarrassed its owner in court. It's going to be a good one because we have Jan Ochoa on the show. Jan, how are you doing?
I'm doing okay, Grubb. We're getting the hot dog count up.
It's respectable now is how I would describe it.
I think so. I think everyone is on the board except Bacalar, but I don't want to put him through anything that would make him unhappy.
No, listen, I want him to do exactly as many hot dogs as he wants to do, which I know is 0, and I wouldn't change that for anything.
Yes.
I will. Can I tell you and just you something, Jan?
Of course.
Actually, you'll be the second person I've told this to. The first person was someone at GDC who came up and asked me about the hot dog count, and I told them the truth, which is that I got to 10 hot dogs a lot quicker than I admitted because I was embarrassed about eating like 4 in 2 days. And I didn't want to put them all in my count at once to be like, oh, I went from 6 to 10 like very quickly. I got to double digits. So I've been holding back. I updated it yesterday.
Yeah.
But I took my time. So don't tell anyone else that because I'm very sensitive and vulnerable about this information.
It's okay, Grubb. Your hot dog secrets are safe with me.
Thank you. I appreciate that. But yeah, I mean, how you doing otherwise? The allergies, the heat, you hanging in out there?
It's Grubb. It has suddenly hit me. I was also reminded yesterday was Tuesday, and I forgot we did the podcast, even though we did the podcast.
I had the same thing. Yeah, I like woke up. I was like feeling pretty bad still yesterday, and I woke up at 4:30, not knowing what time it was. I'm like, oh my god, I'm late for the podcast. And I'm like, oh wait, we just did that. It was weird.
Yeah. And then I forget I have an assignment coming up this weekend that should be fun, but I don't quite know what to expect. So folks at home, stay tuned, I guess.
Yeah, we got a lot of fun stuff happening. I'm looking forward to seeing you all again at PAX. It's always fun to like go hang out at PAX. We always have a good time. It's great to see people. We do have the schedule out, right? We should probably remind people about that real quick. You know the details better.
I got that in
right?
front of me. So this is going to be an East Coast time, everyone. So we are going to have 3 panels, and we are going to have 2 panels on the creator stage. One of them is on Friday, March 27th, 3:45 p.m. Eastern. And then we're going to be doing Who Wants to Be a Millionaire again on Saturday, March 28th at 11:30 a.m. at the creator stage as well. We got some good goodies to give out over there, some giveaways as well. So go hop on over there, go check us out. Grubb, you'll for sure be there on Saturday, but it might just be Mikey and Dan and whatever hooligans we can.
Yeah, it'll be a close call for me on Friday. There's a chance, but we'll have team members representing there on Friday, and I just fly in on Friday morning.
Yeah.
So I might barely miss that one. I honestly, I think if anything, I'll show up just a little bit late, and it'll be an exciting entrance for everybody.
And then on Saturday, Grubb, March 28th, 4 p.m. Eastern, that's the main event. That is the official Giant Bomb PAX panel with friends. One of those friends that we've announced, Vinny Caravella of Nextlander. Vinny's going to be joining us for some shenanigans. Perhaps we might subject the big dog to some things because
I'm looking forward to it.
He's game.
Yeah, I'm glad he's coming out. That was exciting to see that he was able to make that happen, and I think it'll make for a great panel.
And you know, we have the bad boy of games media, and I think Vinny might be the goodest boy.
He's gaming's angel. Like He's got a halo above his head, right? Yeah.
I don't think I'm even doing anything on our PAX panel, but I just want to introduce everyone, and I just want to introduce Vinny as gaming's angel.
Yeah, okay. There we go. All right, everyone, be ready for that, Jan. Write that down. Let's not forget.
Dan, it's on the dock now, all right? I'm doing it.
Yeah. Fantastic. Again, like I said, I'm looking forward to it. I'm keeping myself busy these next couple of weekends, and well, is it the weekend after next that we're there? Right?
Next weekend, yes.
Yeah, okay. Well, all right, everybody. See you then. Okay, well, let's get into this show. We do have quite a bit of news to touch on, so let's explain ourselves. We're Giant Bomb. We're internet video game doofuses, but we are also independent games media out here doing the coverage, doing the work, and we can only do that because of you and your support. If you go to giantbomb.com/join, become a premium member, It ensures our future. It ensures the future of independent games media on the internet and in this space. And we want to keep doing that work for you. So please, thank you for your support. Thank you for everyone who's come through and become a premium member. It means the world to us. Of course, if you hop on board, you get ad-free versions of the shows and a bunch of new premium shows that we've been working on. Marry Me Tomodachi, which has just been incredible stuff. The best dating show on the internet by far. Gets you a new Grub Snacks Premium, which I'll be recording here probably today. Looking forward to doing that. This is The Run. 9 Lives of Mr. Mistopheles. There is some other stuff in the works. Who knows? Maybe we'll be announcing some
stuff. The vibes are just cheery, happy, very merry all over the place.
As far as this show goes, most weekdays, I, Jeff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news and maybe even some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I'll get the input of a bona fide expert who will make me look smart. If you are watching live on Twitch, welcome. You can always listen to the show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game S Mornings or find the RSS feed on giantbomb.com. You can also catch the show later with chapters and timestamps on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. All right, we have a lot to get into, so let's start the morning mess with Nvidia CEO responds to widespread criticism of DLSS 5. This is from Andy Robinson at VGC. And Jan, what do you think one of the richest men in the world, how he defends himself here? With sort of calm and maturity and sort of an understanding and an empathy for the criticism? No! It's your fault. Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang. Yes, he called you out specifically.
What the fuck?
Jensen Huang has deflected widespread criticism of DLSS 5, claiming that the detractors of the AI technology are, quote, completely wrong. On Monday, the technology giant launched the latest iteration of its machine learning tech. This time, instead of improving game resolution or frame rate, DLSS 5 uses an AI model to alter the visuals of supported games running on NVIDIA graphics cards, adding what it calls, quote, photoreal lighting and materials. However, the announcement was met with widespread criticism from players and games industry professionals. We'll talk about sort of the reaction and what this means from a sort of presenting this to the public standpoint here in a second. But for now, we'll continue with this. At a press Q&A with Tom's Hardware at GTC 2026, NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang has now downplayed the criticisms of DLSS 5 and claimed that developers will have full control over its implementation in their games. Here's the quote. Well, first of all, they're completely wrong. The reason for that is because, as I have explained very carefully, God, he's just like barely not calling us all fucking idiots. It's crazy. DLSS 5 fuses controllability of the geometry and textures and everything about the game with generative AI. He added that developers can, quote, fine-tune the generative AI to make it match their game's visual style, claiming that DLSS 5 adds generative capability to existing game geometry, but that it, quote, doesn't change the artistic control. It's not post-processing. It's not post-processing at the frame level. It's generative control at the geometry level. Jen, we'll continue with the quote here in a second, but I never heard anyone saying like, oh, the point at which it was happening. Like, yeah, I was calling it a filter, and a lot of people were as well. And he's like, is that what he's taking issue with? I was just saying it's a bad filter. My problem was not that it was a filter. So the fact that it's happening at the geometry level doesn't make much of a difference to me.
No, I think this is also just a fundamental misunderstanding of criticism and lack of accountability, Grubb. And just not wanting to take the blame and, of course, displacing blame onto the user, which unfortunately feels like a classic CEO move to do as of late. That we, the consumer, the user, is the one having the gigantic misunderstanding when it is something that is being shoved down our throats that we don't want.
All of that is in direct control of the game developer, which is how he finished it. And basically just, and he said, this is very different than, the quote is kind of running off here. Don't worry about that. Let's kind of get into it, Jan. So when I see this, and then I look at what they showed us, going back to Grace specifically, but across the board, especially the Harry Potter characters as well, that looked very much like an Instagram AI filter or TikTok AI filter. What I got away from this, especially after having more people who have more expertise looking at this, a lot of people at like Respawn, and I know Max, the fighting game creator, he was talking about how he's worked in animation and modeling before. And one of the points he made was that all of these models now have filmic 3-point lighting, right? Where they have the hair highlights and they have the fill light and then they have the spotlight. And it's like that, okay. That is what I would expect when you flip on a switch to try to make something look quote unquote better. It's going to do the thing that people have just sort of agreed is the way things should look. And that's just not the way that games are made. And I wonder, like, oh, they have full control over this. If they have full control, I thought they had full control when they made the original character and the original model in an engine like RE Engine that is very powerful. So you're saying that's not what they wanted the character to look like? They wanted it always to look like this, and they just couldn't do it? I find that very hard to believe. And then I find it very hard to believe that what they wanted was that theatrical 3-point lighting, like they're on a film set. That can't be right.
But even then, Grubb, like this, we talked about this a little bit yesterday on the Bombcast, but this chasing of this Hollywood look, it doesn't even look like Hollywood with this fake artificial 3-point lighting, because you were removing the subject from the actual place that they're in, and it all looks like not only do they have an Instagram or some type of visual filter over their face, but also that they're just being blasted by a ring light versus any actual natural or theatrical lighting. And like this, I think this is what I take one of the most issues with, other than the whole thing in general, is that like they keep saying this is like we're replicating Hollywood now. And I think it is also a fundamental misunderstanding of what actual lighting is like, because that also in itself is an art that is incredibly misunderstood. And just shining a gigantic light and adding a hair light to someone is not it, because you're removing all of the depth from a scene, especially with the examples of Harry Potter. Like, not only are you're adding pores to a 3D character, but also the lighting is just absolutely garbo. And you're removing any need for any other lighting source or diegetic lighting source in a scene.
Yeah, and I think that he's trying to be like, hey, developers can sort of pick and choose what they want to use here. And I'm sure if that's the controllability, whatever. I think the controllability that people are really asking for is, once you do turn it on, how much control do you have over the AI model that is in place here? And I gotta imagine it's like any sort of prompt-based thing, where it's like, yeah, you could be a prompt engineer, where it's like you're trying to get the thing to do a certain thing, and if you're good enough, you can get maybe a little bit more out of it. But it is based on a model that was trained on probably a lot of very specific data about, again, what the person who originally trained the model thought looks good. And when you're doing that, you're probably looking at a lot of Deacon films, where it's like, oh yeah, Richard Deacon, like that, the director of photography, let's just make it all look like that. It's like when you mesh that within a game that already exists, and especially if it's happening specifically to the characters and maybe to the environment, and it's happening like on a different level, because characters and environments are going to have a different idea of what looks good, it's going to look out of place. And that's what I think is the biggest takeaway here, is that these things just look out of place. They look odd. And then they have that, it's not smeary, but there's something smeary-esque about the way the characters move once they had this filter applied. Now, this is the promotional period. It's going to be they're going to have it turned on to the maximum to have the biggest before and after effect possible. So I'm like expecting this to be a lot more subtle when we do get the final thing. But that's an expectation that is built on hopefully that these developers do have control, and they can just sort of say, hey, if you want to turn this off, you could turn it off on a base level. And then when we turn it on, and if you want to turn it on, we're going to do this in a way that is very much in line with what we want. I'm just skeptical that they're going to be able to accomplish that in a way that looks natural in the game.
Yeah, I feel like what we're already seeing is an overcorrection and trying to answer a need that hasn't been requested, right, Grubb?
Yep.
Because it's only a matter of time until in some of these cutscenes that they add obscenely dramatic bokeh to just blur out everything in the background. I mean, we're already there with some Hollywood films. Who knows what other additional filters or prompts, like you mentioned, are going to be added to just absolutely remove any artistic integrity or any type of intent with a scene.
All right. Well, let's kind of continue with this for just for a little bit.
Just real quick, Grubb. Now I'm just thinking
please.
about like how this makes me want to rip my hair out, because not only do we see like Grace the character, and you mentioned this yesterday, but Grace has picked up a lot of steam and carried a lot of favor with the RE audience, and so much so that people would want a whole game with just Grace. I'm thinking now about like other indie games out there. I think about something with a specific purposeful art style like mouthwashing that is supposed to kind of replicate like a PS1 look. And there's going to be some idiot out there that doesn't like the look of the game, doesn't understand it, and wants to put this Vaseline Instagram filter over it that just completely removes any of the impact from it. And I just want to flip a table.
Yeah, and it's I think when that comes from a place of like, I'm gonna goof around with this game and add some mods from someone who just wanted to fuck up this game because they're crazy, that's one thing. Having it just like be this giant corporation that we know is just trying to put AI into DLSS, because DLSS is a positive thing. People like it. It has earned its spot as a sort of a check mark in the pro column over the years, where it kind of started off a little shaky and then it proved itself. And people still think it's a little bit of a crutch, which sometimes it can be, but it clearly is a net positive to improving performance and visual quality. And so it's like, okay, let's add the Gen AI into that so it can ride its coattails. And it's very clearly that like that's what they're going for. That feels like, oh, we're just part of their ongoing efforts to justify the expense that they are paying to build up this AI business. And the rest of us be damned, our opinions be damned. And that, leads into, okay, people do not like this. Like, there's been the backlash. It's obvious online, I think, if you've been paying attention. But like, what are the numbers behind that? Are the normies paying attention? And I think at the very least, the people who would watch these YouTube videos to see what this tech is across the board are not happy with it. The story here is NVIDIA's DLSS 5 reveal trailer only has 16% of its like share on YouTube as players make their voices heard. This is from Chris Scullion at VGC. NVIDIA's new DLSS 5 tech doesn't appear to be winning over players yet, if YouTube's statistics for its reveal trailer are anything to go by. On Monday, NVIDIA announced the next generation of its image enhancement technology, which it claims is, quote, the most significant breakthrough in computer graphics since the debut of real-time ray tracing. DLSS 5 uses an AI model, blah, blah, blah. Basically, the numbers are here. The official reveal trailer, 16.3% positive. That's 16,000 likes versus 82,000 dislikes. Resident Evil Requiem, that one specifically has its own video. It only has 15% positive with 2,600 likes versus 15,000 dislikes. Starfield is 18% positive. So even that where it's like it's still images, it's like, I guess these faces look a little bit better because I just don't like the way Starfield faces look. But then you see it moving, and it's like, oh, it just looks off. It kind of gives me the queasiness there, and everyone agrees. 18% positive. That's very low. Hogwarts Legacy, 18% positive. EA Sports FC, 15% positive. Zora Unreal Tech Demo, which is one I've not watched. That one is probably even for the tech head nerds. That one's a little bit better at 37% positive, probably because it doesn't have that existing fan base being like, you're messing up the thing that I like.
Yeah.
Okay, so, we can probably caveat this with the people showing up to this are going to be the same people who have been riled up and are mad at like Digital Foundry and yelling at everybody because they're finding this very frustrating. Again, we feel like we don't have choices in this capitalist system where they always tell us, man, this gives you so many choices, so many options, and then we get railroaded into these technologies, whether we want to or not. And this is people are going to be riled up enough to go to the videos and dislike it. But I think that these numbers are so low that it's obvious that they have to address this in some way if they still care about this audience at all, which is, I think, the bigger question. AI has so much money over there. That is their primary concern. And AI as a business right now is about getting investors excited. It's not about actually selling AI to the end user yet. We're still far away from that, it seems like. And they fake it with stuff like this, but it's about getting investors happy so the stock price goes up. That's their real product, is the stock price. So do they care enough about this backlash, or do they think they can ride it out and they're making enough money that they don't really need to pay any mind to it?
Well, Grubb, the backlash is completely wrong. We're all wrong, according to Jensen Wallace.
Yeah, I'm like, you're right. I'm like, I didn't even think about that quote. Wasn't even for us. That quote was for investors, just like everything else. Like,
Yeah.
they're completely wrong. They are. Don't worry about it. We know what's really happening, and we know where the money's really going to be made.
This feels like that webcomic dog meme of everything is fine, but I think Jensen Huang legitimately believes that everything is fine.
Yeah, he literally can't see the fire. Yeah.
Yeah. This is such a bummer, Grubb. I mean, like, I'm glad that people are being vocal about it and trying to show up where and exclaiming like, yo, I don't like this. I don't want this around in my games at all. And it just feels like another thing that big players in the industry are focusing on that your normal person doesn't want. Looking at the FIFA numbers, even, it's like, yeah, I think they want to be exploited with their cards rather than their cards having like this yassified filter over them. And also, Grubb, everyone listening, this is me putting my tinfoil hat on. All right, you can tune out for like a 30 seconds or so, but I just don't like all of this shit because it feels like we are being force-fed of what we should be liking and what we think things should look like versus any original thought. I mean, we've already seen that specifically in Hollywood, right, where we are force-fed a certain image of what a man is supposed to look like, what a woman is supposed to look like, not ever including anyone else on the spectrum there of like, what does a non-binary person look like, what does trans representation look like. And this just feels more like a homogenized version of like, this is black and white. Aloy cannot look like that. Aloy can never look like a normal woman. She has to look like this with permanent eyeliner, permanent blush added to her. And it doesn't sit well with me.
Right. And that's one of the things we've seen with large language models and these generative AI systems is they are averaging machines. They're median machines. They take all this data and they are capable of producing the thing in the middle. And they do that when they create people. I was saying on Bombcast yesterday, when you see all the fake ladies on Instagram that are trying to get one over on the doofuses out there, they all look alike, and maybe not like there are like 4 categories of women that they will create, and it's like it makes it pretty easy to tell at this point what's AI because they have it has a certain idea of what beauty looks like, and that's all it's capable of producing. And we've had struggles throughout generations about dealing with putting beauty standards onto people. And this just feels like the nuclear weapon in that space. And then we can get more finite with it where, through so many conversations online about what video games should look like, what good graphics are. And it did feel like we were getting to a point where it's like, man, a lot of those conversations are in the rear view mirror. We have gotten to a point where everyone recognizes that making a big, realistic looking video game is not just expensive, it's kind of a waste of time because they all end up looking alike. And that's just because reality has a certain look for most people's point of view, but also just because there's only so much money you can spend on these games. So if we could bring creativity back into the conversation and make these games look different in a stylistic level, that would be awesome. And this feels, once again, antithetical to that and almost like they won that conversation. The people that are like, games should be more realistic. It's like, obviously that's what we all want, right? And no, absolutely not. You lost that conversation. The people who prefer stylized graphics or artists to have a say in the world that they're creating and adding their own specific personalized bent to that idea, we prefer that. And by we, I mean the vast majority of people who are buying video games, even if there is a small subset or a significant subset, but smaller subset that's like, I just want these things to look as realistic as possible. So we've mostly accepted, we can have those games, but we moved on. And this is just like, no, we have built a machine to undo that. And so, gross. We don't, but that's unwanted by most people.
And Grubb, the thing that pains me is like I feel like these people weren't bullied enough. Because where did your imagination go? And like the other two things that pop up in my head is just how incredibly skewed a lot of these AI models are, because they primarily look or are trying to look like white people, right? It's complete erasure over any features of anyone of color. And then the second part is like, yo, kids love ugly, weird looking shit.
Yeah. Fugglers are becoming more popular in my house by the minute.
Think about some of the most popular like animated things. It's not something that looks super duper clean, right? And like Shrek, Cars, Minions.
Every popular YouTube channel, which is just weird trash that I'm kind of like I've grown affectionate toward, because it's like, oh, this kind of reminds me of how I felt about Ren and Stimpy at the time, where it's like, this is weird and odd and my parents don't like it. Yeah, that's cool.
And I think about like the adult animation that has really like stuck with me, and it's all things with very distinct art styles. Smiling Friends, Adventure Time, Regular Show, like all of these have a distinct art style. And look at something like Into the Spider-Verse, right? Something that's kind of like redefined animated films, Puss in Boots, Mitchell's versus the Machines.
Stop real quick. Puss in Boots. I was waiting to bring that up. My kids are super into Puss in Boots right now, and their favorite thing is taking the DVD box, going up to their mother, and like, look at the weird egg. Look at Humpty Dumpty. Isn't he weird? And she hates him, and they're just like, we love how much you hate this guy. We love him. They're obsessed with that stuff. It's great.
Just like I'm glad that people are speaking out, like we mentioned, Grubb, because I don't want anyone to lose any originality and think that whatever doodles and scribbles they have on the back of their notebook shouldn't ever be seen.
And this is like we're going to move on here pretty quick. We got to do a break and get to the rest of the news. But last thing is, this is a reminder once again. I've said it a bunch before. I made a video about it. Voting with your wallet that's what they want. They want you to do that because then you're stuck inside the system that they own. They're like, yeah, if you don't like it, don't use it. They'll say that. You're going to hear that argument a lot. If you don't like it, don't use it. And if you really don't like it, buy something else. And again, that they're fine with that because they are playing a different game, going to investors, raising a lot of money through AI, doing their circular funding with Oracle and all these other companies, and they can keep like you busy with that circus of vote with your wallet. No, fuck that. Criticize, get loud. Dislike the videos, make headlines based on how angry you are about this. That like we have a passionate sort of community here of people who spend a lot of money on video games, and that is actually far more powerful. I'll say it, being annoying is far more powerful than voting with your wallet. So yeah, don't buy the thing if you don't want to buy the thing. That's fine. Vote with your wallet if you want to do that, but you should be loud and annoying on top of that because these companies actually are very susceptible to criticism.
Be a bully to people that should be bullied.
Yes. Yeah. And it's these nerds who just, they had this idea of like money makes right. And unfortunately, they've been proven right over and over again. We got to break that cycle.
Drink the haterade for once.
Yeah. Come on. We're brewing it over here. Drink up. All right, everybody. We're going to go to a break. When we come back, we'll talk about what's going on with Subnautica 2 and a lot more. If you want to skip out on these ads, you can do so. Go to giantbomb.com/join, become a premium member. There you can find ad-free versions of the video and audio podcast. We will be right back. All right, we're back. It's Game Mess Mornings. That's Jan Ochoa. I'm Jeff Grubb. Let's get to this next headline. Subnautica 2 will get early access release in May following the latest court ruling. This is from Blair Marnell at GameSpot. Subnautica 2 is officially heading to early access in May. As reported by IGN, developer Unknown Worlds studio head Steve Papustis sent out a message to his employees that Krafton approved Subnautica 2 for early access last week and that it will be arriving with, quote, more story chapters, built new creatures, and created new biomes, along with many other features. This news arrived after the ongoing legal battle between Subnautica 2 developer Unknown Worlds' ousted leaders and publisher Krafton, after it took a major turn when a judge ruled in favor of the studio, and ordered the former CEO, Ted Gill, to be reinstated to his role. We look forward to working with Ted Gill to support a smooth transition and work toward a successful launch. Paputis, yeah, I'm close enough, said, and our priority is getting the game into the hands of the community that has been eagerly awaiting for it, and that means honoring the work you have already done to make that possible. Krafton shared a statement with IGN confirming the message while also decrying the recent verdict against the company. As a reminder, the verdict was the CEO of Krafton embarrassed himself by listening to ChatGPT literally over his lawyers because he didn't want to pay the $250 million bonus that was going to go to the studio when they released this game and it reached the threshold of selling a certain amount of copies. making a certain amount of money because it's a highly anticipated game. That was built into the deal when Unknown Worlds was acquired by Krafton. The guy didn't want to pay it. He made just the most. It's not even an amateur mistake. It is beyond that. It is so laughable. He was basically laughed out of court. The judge says you need to reinstate that CEO of Unknown Worlds, and you need to let them release the game. And now it's coming in May, and it feels like the story is going to have a somewhat happy ending, even though we all have to now live with the memory that there was someone out there in charge of a company that is that stupid.
Grubb, this person that heavily relied and turned to ChatGPT and others that are similar just feels like someone that wasn't hugged enough as a child. Because now they're being told that, oh, you're special, you're a good boy, you're so smart, you're good at this, when in reality, you were a fucking idiot.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. Like people who use this and like it as opposed to like asking their smart friends for help or whatever, because their smart friends are a little bit more impatient.
You have lawyers.
You literally can afford to pay for intelligence from actual intelligent people. And they have experience, and they will tell you when you're wrong, and that's what you're paying them for. It's crucial to listen to that. Obviously, it's crucial to listen to that. There's a reason that these companies always listen to their lawyers, and it's so you don't get in a situation like this. It's really, really amazing that someone this stupid could be in charge of a company. And like as people in chat are saying, they're kind of all this stupid. And I think like maybe there's a fine line where he's on the other side of just he would actually go through with it and listen to ChatGPT instead of his lawyers. And there maybe the rest of them are like, I guess I'll listen to my lawyers, but they don't want to because they are just as stupid as this. Good news, though, is Subnautica 2 is coming. People have been looking forward to this game for quite some time. It is very likely going to just crush, in part because of this. There are people who want to support it, who want to show up for it, and say, hey, we're going to ensure that you get that bonus, which is, it's not guaranteed in this moment, but if it comes out and has the success that it's expected to have, it will get that, and people can contribute to that by showing up and buying the game. And there's a lot of Subnautica fans out there.
Oh, yeah.
This is going to be a Slay the Spire 2 like launch. Maybe not that huge, but I won't be surprised if it's close, Jan.
I just feel bad for the devs having their work kind of like artificially locked behind gates for no reason when they themselves want to get the game out there. And then, having a game out in early access provides a lot of information, a lot of learning for like the devs to like what to spruce up, what they need to balance for an actual 1.0 release. Yep.
It's cool to see that this game is coming. People are looking forward to it. We'll go hands on with it. I think it's time for Subnautica. I think I can make Subnautica happen. I've never played the original, so maybe I'll just start with this one. We'll go from there. Yep, that is coming in May. All right, up next, MindsEye publisher breaks up with devs, cancels Hitman crossover. This is from, I tried to say this in a normal way, I just can't help it. Austin Manchester at Polygon. The saga of MindsEye, the glitchy third-person action game that launched last summer, continues. On Tuesday, publisher IOI Partners and developer Build a Rocket Boy announced, quote, the conclusion of their publishing collaboration for MindsEye, according to a news release. This breakup comes just a couple of weeks after Build a Rocket Boy went through a round of layoffs that co-CEO Mark Gerhardt effectively blamed on a conspiracy. Once IOI is done transferring publisher status to MindsEye, developer Build a Rocket Boy, the studio will assume sole publishing responsibilities going forward, ensuring continuity for the MindsEye community and all partners. We touched on this a little bit yesterday, but kind of wanted to get all the details out there. Really, this is not too surprising. I bet IOI very quickly after it launched were looking for a way out, and I'm happy that they've done so they can focus on things that they have worked so hard to make so precious to so many people. Hitman, obviously, but that James Bond game is coming along here very soon, and I think any sort of anchor attached to that they can shed like this and just let that game do as well as it possibly can, which we don't know. Could come out, could be very mediocre, could be very good, but it should be able to survive and fly on its own without having to worry about what is happening on the publishing side of IOI. And now it can do that, right?
Yeah, this was always such an interesting relationship to begin with, Grubb, and I really like IOI. I feel this was maybe not the best first step in publishing. And MindsEye just continues to be a mystery.
Yeah,
I just find myself sometimes at night, Grubb, just asking why.
Mm-hmm.
For who?
It's one of those ones. One of those ones where it's like I could see us eventually playing that on Blight Club or something like that. It is, but it's mostly boring instead of bad. So, well, I mean, it's bad too, but bad in a very boring way. So I don't know. The crossover Hitman content that everyone was clamoring for in the MindsEye community, Jan. Of course, that's a huge loss for all of us in the MindsEye community. But I think we'll probably live.
Shouts out to my MindsEye.
EX, my MindsEyers. I was trying to think of one. MindsEye EX.
What's your MindsEye Briggs, Grubb?
All right. Yeah. Cool. I'm glad IOI could kind of shed this. Do you think IOI does any more publishing along these lines in the future? That's got to be a very hot stove that they just touched.
I think, if anything, they're going to maybe rein it in and maybe not go with other titles they'll publish in the future may not be as big or have as big lofty promises that MindsEye had. Maybe smaller bite-sized games, perhaps.
Yeah, I think that's probably like build yourself back up to it.
Yeah.
Look at Konami, right? Publishing
Darwin's
at all cost, Darwin's Paradox, that the octopus game that's coming out here pretty soon. Do that kind of stuff. If that's what Konami's doing, you're no Konami, IOI. I love your game, and the game that you put out, and I'm looking forward to James Bond. But let's be real here. Konami, despite their sabbatical from traditional AAA gaming for a while, you're still not that. And they're not even publishing games of this scale. So maybe it would be smarter to start smaller and work your way up.
Yeah.
And I hope they can, because, the publishing business can use all of the competition possible, because more funding, different kinds of games, as these different publishers have different ideas on what can succeed and what can't. That's one of the benefits of this system. And I hope they can maintain that, because it would be nice to have one more player in that space.
I almost wonder, though, Grubb, I mean, I can't imagine that MindsEye left too much of a splash in the general audience, because I don't think there is a negative association with the brand IOI just because of MindsEye. So I think they're
everyone's
still
bad
okay.
for IOI, I think, right? Yeah.
Unfortunately, yeah. And I think it's probably a wise move to cancel the Hitman crossover, because Agent 47 is their poster boy. And they can't have that guy doing anything.
Slumming it.
He's fine to do goofy stuff, but only if it's in their goofy stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. I wouldn't have hated seeing what this looked like. And even if it was really bad, there's part of me that would have been like, that's just stupid to see in this really awful game. But oh, well. All right. And yeah, we'll refer to chat as the MindsEye community from now on, everybody. Thank you to the MindsEye community out there. Let's keep going here. Captain Tsubasa 2 World Fighters announced for Nintendo Switch 2. This is from Nintendo Everything. Today, Bandai Namco announced Captain Tsubasa 2 World Fighters for Nintendo Switch. The title launches 2026. The new project, made by Tamsoft, turns soccer matches into thrilling, unexpected battles where players can now unleash super moves for everything from dribbling to tackling to passing and shots on goal. It features 22 national teams, over 110 playable characters, and more than 150 moves. I really liked Captain Tsubasa 1, which is not the real Captain Tsubasa 1. There was games on the Famicom way back in the day, but that newer one that really brought the anime style to life in a real soccer game was a lot of fun. And it's definitely what I always assumed I would get out of like Inazuma 11. I tried Inazuma 11 recently, and it's much more of a very slow starting RPG, which I was expecting, but I was like, give me some of the soccer. And it was hours before I touched any soccer, and that was very annoying. That's fine. I know Inazuma's out there for a lot of people who do really like it. Meanwhile, Captain Tsubasa, I'm like, ooh, I should just go back and play more Captain Tsubasa. And now they're delivering a sequel that continues to look very, very good, coming to a bunch of platforms as well as the Switch.
Anime sports are just cool. And Captain Tsubasa is one of those examples where an anime sports game is also really cool.
It's it's the place where arcade sports titles can probably still not just live, but thrive a little bit. Where, you can match up that arcade style with the anime IP. And, I would expect this to feel a lot like, Sega Soccer Slam. Not exactly. It's going to be somewhere in between a sim and that. But it's like the spirit of that can live on here a little bit. And as someone who loves I love some sim sports games, and I love a lot of arcade sports games. This gives me some hope. That's like, oh, maybe we can get like a very arcadey anime boxing game based on that Ippo, whatever. I never remember the name of it. But the anime boxing series. That would be cool. I hope that happens.
You and Finelli were talking on Monday about Bandai Namco making a new fighting game. I think it's curious that we haven't had more anime sports games other than Captain Tsubasa. It feels, I don't want to say it's a no-brainer, but some of the anime sports or sports animes, I feel like have such a interesting, dedicated, diehard audience. There's a boxing one, Hajime no Ippo. I think that's the name.
Yes, that's what it is. That's it, yeah.
There's a basketball one, and there's a big volleyball one. And volleyball's been picking up a lot of popularity lately that I feel like it'd be a slam dunk, or I guess a spike, to make an arcadey, cool anime sports game.
Yeah, there was a time when arcade machines existed where that would have been like, or were much more popular. Where that would have been like the kind of thing that maybe these companies would have done. I hope they could sort of just transition and be like, hey, make something akin to Captain Tsubasa for these different franchises, for these different sports, and you can see similar success. And I think there's a chance to sort of grow those things through that audience, where it's like, I have never watched any Captain Tsubasa, read any Captain Tsubasa. I am more likely to do so now that I have these games.
Yeah, I remember in the Captain Tsubasa game for the Switch 1, I think I activated an ability and then a spirit tiger took over me and then I scored a goal. That was sick.
That's these games can have like substantial single player parts to them that make them feel more valuable because they can do the story modes and you get to spend time with the characters. And that's crucial to selling a game like this. So, and that's kind of built into the DNA of this kind of game, this kind of adaptation. And then maybe if you make the multiplayer fun as well, it's like you can hit both sides of that. Yeah. I don't think any of these anime sports games have fully like hit the mark on both sides. I'm kind of waiting for that to happen. And I hope that this is a step in that direction because I would welcome 50 more of these based on all kinds of different sports. That would be really cool.
Give me an Ice Shield 21 football game. Someone, please.
Give me the gay ice skating game.
Fuck
yeah. Give me what is that?
Yuri on Ice.
Give me Yuri on Ice, the video game. Let's make that happen. I don't know how you play that. Oh, I just got an email this morning being like, hey, we're charging a lot of money for that Kickstarter, and it's the Kickstarter of a new, really well-made DDR pad.
Ooh.
I'm like, oh, I can't wait to play some DDR with that. And then I'm like, oh, wait, I could play a bunch of different games with this thing because it's just a USB controller. So if anyone has any suggestions for things I could play with that way. I don't know if I'm going to be one of those people that does Demon Souls or something like that, but maybe. We'll see. All right, quite a few more stories here. Street Fighter 6 surpasses launch peak with major update. This is from Marcus Persson at Game Reactor. The new record it has now just hit is 72,000 concurrent players, meaning the game has now surpassed its 3-year-old peak, which was reached during its 2023 launch. People love that Alex and him marrying his cousin, I guess. They're showing up for it all.
I mean, it's great to see the fighting game scene fairly healthy and popular. With even though the news surrounding Evo kind of a downer.
Yes.
I enjoy Street Fighter having a surge of popularity. You know what? I'm not going to say what I was going to say. But great for Kenny Omega.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, he put his all into it. You could tell, and it seems to be paying off for everyone involved. I agree. I'm glad that this game has really just found its footing. And, not that it was at risk of not doing so, but it has a strong foothold on where it should be as Street Fighter, the fighting game. It's really nailed that. And the fact that it's growing as they put out more content is exactly what they want to see from this. That was always the idea since like Street Fighter 4 of adding long-term DLC and character packs and all this stuff. They have clearly found a way to like communicate and work with the audience in such a way that everyone feels pretty good about it. The vibes around Street Fighter are pretty immaculate. So it makes me want to go back to it and play some more. And
same.
I think I will. Nintendo is expanding the GameCube NSO lineup. Nintendo on Twitter said, with Eevee as your companion, the fight against an evil organization using Shadow Pokemon and Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness available now on Nintendo Switch 2 with GameCube Nintendo Classics 4, Nintendo Switch Online, plus expansion pack members. Okay, cool. That's something we knew was coming, but now they've just dropped it. People can go play it. I think this is one that people tend to enjoy. It was never for me though. I played like Pokemon Stadium back in the day, and this is like has that DNA and then expanded on, I think. But I know people do like this game.
Yeah, this is one that I never played directly. I would just go over to a friend's house and watch them play. So I'm kind of excited to get my hands on it and just see it for real. And then, Pokemon is picked up a bunch of popularity just because of the Super Bowl ad and Lady Gaga and Jigglypuff and now Pocopia. And then like the Fire Red, Leaf Green, not remakes, but re-releases.
Yeah, those seem to do work.
I could see Gale of Darkness picking up some steam as well.
Yep, and it's cool to see the GameCube lineup expand. I saw someone in chat earlier say that with this update, they have also fixed the sensitivity issue with the controller in the GameCube emulator. I was looking for more verification of that. If anyone has any more details, I would love to know more. But that would be also very good news, because the concern with Nintendo is always they've done the thing, and it always feels like with Nintendo, it's like, oh, like at least we're getting GameCube games. I shouldn't expect much more from Nintendo. They're only a several billion-dollar company. We don't hold them to a high standard because they feel so incompetent most of the time. Do they even know that there's an issue with the emulator and the controls? Maybe they're not even aware because they're just they're just little kids over there. They don't know. Okay, they did know. They've updated it. They fixed it. And often they do. And I'm glad that people are out there pointing this out very early because this is here. It's happening. I hope that this is actually true. Okay, input lag is supposedly still present. So yeah, there you go. Still not fixed entirely, but hopefully it feels a little bit better. I was with Mike, who was kind of talking about the Legend of Zelda Wind Waker, which did feel odd. It felt odd on the Switch. I hope that just feels a little bit better, even if there's still a little bit of input lag, because that's an emulator problem, probably. That's just inherent to the way that they're doing things. Okay. No, not Nintendo. New PlayStation Portal software update adds 1080p high-quality mode and UX refinements. This is from the PlayStation blog. There's a couple of big updates here. There's a 1080p high-quality mode. The thing always had 1080p, but now they are increasing the bitrate for a smoother, more high-fidelity visual environment. That's welcome news. There's a refined cloud streaming experience. Improvements such as a new UI for selecting games within a bundle, clear on-screen notifications for game invites, enhanced trophy notifications, and more. There's also a smoother search interface. That's also welcome, as they added that cloud functionality to this thing. So when you're remote, you don't just go into your own system. You can also play games from the cloud. And now they're improving that experience because it seems to have been the kind of thing that has given a boost to the PlayStation Portal, where people are like, oh, there's more reason to get this thing. It has apparently grown quite a bit. There's a 162% year-over-year growth in cloud streaming monthly users in January. That over 50% of PS Portal users are now PlayStation Plus Premium subscribers because of that. And then there's a smoother onboarding experience as well. The Portal, I think, is a quiet but very successful success story. Jan, what do you think?
It feels like an interesting, I wouldn't even say misstep, but a step that's PlayStation made that continued to work out. Grubb, I know you and I are sick in the head, and I still think about getting a PlayStation Portal maybe 3 times a month. I was in a Costco. It was there. I'm like, that thing's ugly, but I kind of want it.
Yep. Same. I have the same exact feelings. I always say I use my Steam Deck. My right analog on my Steam Deck is squeaking. I'm like,
no.
I'm trying to fix it by like blowing compressed air in there and stuff, but it's not. It fixes it for like a little bit, and I'm like, they're like, use some safe lubricant in there to fix whatever the problem is. I'm like, okay, but if I do that, I might just take the whole thing apart, and then that's such a hassle. I don't know. I might just take it to an expert and have them fix it for me, because I don't want a squeaky stick. And the real answer here might be, let me just buy a different device to stream my PlayStation games. I'll get a PlayStation Portal as well. They're making it better. Why wouldn't I get one? I'll be losing money if I don't make this decision. But still holding off. We'll see. All right. Todd Howard says Bethesda has made a really incredible job with the Elder Scrolls 6 game engine. This is from Jonas Mackey at Game Reactor. Surely no one expects The Elder Scrolls 6 to be released this year, but rather in 2027 at the absolute earliest. Yeah, that would be the absolute earliest, and probably even later than that. That means we've been waiting an absolutely absurdly long time for the game, considering that The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim was released in 2011 and the sixth installment was announced in 2018. By God, it's going to be 10 years from the announcement, but when this thing actually comes out, probably, maybe. But now development seems to be moving along at a good pace, and in an interview with IGN, Bethesda veteran Todd Howard explains that it's going more smoothly than it did with Starfield, and that he's very pleased with the new game engine. He said, well, gosh, I don't want to spoil too much. I mean, you get your whiz-bang rendering, shiny pixel stuff that everyone would expect. And I think the change to Creation Engine 2 from where we were for Starfield, yeah, whiz-bang, was such an upheaval for what we were doing. I could just see Todd Howard saying whiz-bang.
When are you from, Todd?
He's a vampire. So you don't feel that what we're doing on a day-to-day basis, like when the game goes down, blah, 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 kind of lost. Yeah. Oh, no, I got mixed up there. Here we are. All right. We felt coming out of that, we could have managed that better. So going into Creation Engine 3, I can't say enough about our tech staff and how they've handled that transition so that we can still be making a game while that is going on. Basically, he's saying they're making improvements to their engine from Starfield, something that was already supposed to be like a big improvement over their previous games. And while those improvements are happening, they're very happy with the state of the engine so they can be making this game. You know, I don't know what else we would expect him to say. And at this point, I'm like, the proof will be in the pudding, Jan.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to hear, a big boss in charge being very complimentary to his team and shouting out their work.
Good point.
That's really nice, and it feels like Todd is like, maybe he's not in the trenches, but he's at least noticing all of the work. I forget if it was from this specific interview or a different one with Todd recently, but I think they just announced that game way too soon.
Obviously that was in the midst of a bunch of things happening with like their ownership, and I think they kind of knew they were talking to Microsoft and they wanted to make the value of the company as high as possible, and also they were announcing Fallout 76, and they knew that would not go over well with a certain portion of their audience, and by that I mean their entire audience. And so they're like, hey, don't worry, there's more stuff coming from us, including the game you really want, which is the next Elder Scrolls. And they're like, we'll definitely make that. And everyone's like, well, we know you're making it, but the fact that you've announced it means it's coming somewhat soon. And of course, the answer to that was no. All right, last story here. Final Fantasy IX animated series, Final Fantasy Black Mage's Legacy, is now in production. And if that sounds oddly familiar, it's because it should. This is from Sal Romano at Gamatsu. The first season of Final Fantasy IX animated series, first announced back in 2021, is officially, finally, now in production at Eurovisual, the studio's official website has revealed. It is titled Final Fantasy Black Mage's Legacy and will consist of 10 episodes, each 22 minutes in length. They have a description here. Amel, Colne, Luciola, Thea, Fala, and Doc, children of the hero Bibi, are the last dark mages of the 4 continents. Today, they live happily in the city of Alexandria, guarded by its inhabitants, who are rather friendly, although sometimes very curious. Unfortunately, this peaceful existence was not meant to last. One day, Colne discovers Mel, frozen like a statue, in the inn where he works. Could it be the tragic legacy of their father catching up with them? Okay. This feels like interesting for a couple of reasons. One, it was announced so far back, I think most people just assumed it was canceled.
Yeah.
2, they have heard about this frequently over the last not frequently, but occasionally over the last 5 years. So this yet another false start. And then 3, this feels like the kind of thing that you do and you finally get around to making because you were going to do something more with Final Fantasy IX, the video game. And, last thing we heard about that, before we heard it was, they're going to remaster that or remake it or something. And then the last thing we heard since then is, no, that's been put on the shelf and they're not going to do that. Where do you think that all stands? How excited are you about this? Where are you at with Final Fantasy IX overall, Jan?
I'm curious, Grubb, if this description maybe there was a typo or a mistranslation, and that Bibi is supposed to be Vivi from Final Fantasy IX?
Right, yeah, that might be. You're right. I was like, Bibi doesn't sound right. Is there a Bibi at all? Because I know there's a Vivi.
I don't know if there's a Bibi, and I also don't enjoy thinking about Vivi slanging it and having 4 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
VV
7.
BB. Okay.
7 children. Holy smokes.
Yeah, I'm getting busy.
Vivi was getting busy. But great, this isn't what folks have been clamoring for out of Final Fantasy IX with all of the remake or remaster rumors circulating around, but this is still Final Fantasy IX related content, which I hope will appease some of those folks. And I don't know. I've always liked the design that Final Fantasy IX added to the black mages and everything, just like the kind of a blank face with a gigantic glowy eyeballs.
I think if people are saying V is not possible in Japanese, which is just a funny sentence. I like that quite a bit. But that explains. So it's VV and then BB. It's both are the same. And then a lot of people making contraception jokes in chat in regards to VV fucks apparently. I didn't know VV was Catholic. I'll just say that.
Hey,
it's pretty surprising. What can you say?
I can't.
That does it for the headlines, everybody. The agenda's back, everyone. Prepare yourselves. Okay, let's get to the poll question from Monday. I have it over here. Let me get the latest results by refreshing this page. Did you go? Nope, that's the last one. Let me go here. Do you still use game chat on Switch 2? Yes, no, and I don't have a Switch 2. Got 5,000 votes. Quite a big response here. 5% say yes. 58% say no, and 37% say I don't have a Switch 2. It's just absolutely one of those features that gets talked up by the company at launch. Everyone goes, either I don't care about that or I'll wait and see. And then there's just not a lot of reasons to use it most of the time. And I think that 5% number really screams that, Jan.
Yeah, I can't say that I've ever purposely fired this up outside of us doing something and just the novelty of seeing someone's head spin around when you hit them with a shell in Mario Kart.
Yep. All right. We have a new poll question. Let's do that right now. Did you go back to Street Fighter 6 for Alex? Yes, no, and I don't play fighting games. Come on, everyone, step up your game. Play some fighting games. They're core and integral to this medium. We'll see what the responses are on the show tomorrow here on Giant Bomb. Speaking of Giant Bomb, Jan, what do we have happening?
Grubb, the ripcord has been pulled. Fate tried to intervene last night and strike Dan Reichert's setup, but we all worked hard. The big brains. The funniest thing is seeing Jeff Bakalar catching up with the news. I only got the initial notification that Dan's monitors weren't working, and then I saw the flood of tech support happening and everyone rallying because they want to see Dan get punished.
Yeah, there was like I was conflicted where it's like, one, I don't want to help Dan with another tech problem. He can use Google, and that's how everyone ends up feeling eventually. Even like Chuck started off trying to help, and then you could see how quickly he was exhausted. And then Will, the soldier who doesn't know yet, he'll learn eventually, was still in there like trying to help him. Apparently, it's working, so he doesn't have an excuse. That's all we really needed to hear. So the ripcord's been pulled, everybody. Blight Club, Dan's season of the Lightning Round. It's a very
Dan,
short game.
You can Google on your phone. You managed to message us still on Discord, not with your computer.
Dan talked about like how his dad will say like Dan shows up, everything starts breaking. Dan knows like how we feel about this. Like, yeah, Google it. All right, so that is 3 p.m. or 2 p.m. We're doing that at 2 p.m. Eastern?
Yes, 11 a.m. Pacific time. And then Game Miss Mornings, Thursday, Friday. Voicemail Dump Truck on Thursday. Marry Me Tomodachi. Grubb, it's the internet's best and hottest dating show.
Yeah, you're not going to want to miss any of this. You're not going to want to miss the costume reveal for Dan. You're not going to want to miss the ongoing antics of Kiddo-matic Mike Minotti. There's a lot of fun stuff happening on this website.
And then UPF, we got our dear friend Bailey Myers playing co-op Slay the Spire with us. And then Mikey is going to do another launch day stream with Crimson Desert.
Yep. It's good, man. A lot of stuff happening this week. And don't miss the stuff we've already done. We did a Lego party, update party, in-person party.
Yes.
And that's on the website. That was a lot of fun, man. I really love that game. I am confident in saying that is one of my favorite games. I just have a good time every time I play it.
Great.
Yep.
For folks that missed it yesterday, Mikey and I sat down with Lexi to check out a bunch of Irish games from Irish devs yesterday and highlighted a bunch of demos. You should go check that out. It was very chill, fun stream. I know it's Year of the Horse in the Chinese Zodiac, Grubb, but I think it might be Year of the Horse in games as well, because we checked out a really weird horse game yesterday.
I'm like looking to see. Crimson Desert reviews should be coming in pretty soon, everybody. That game's out tomorrow, so I think we always heard that the reviews were coming out a couple hours before that. I don't know, and I don't remember. So yeah, we'll probably talk about that on the show tomorrow, and then yeah, Mike is going to be doing a launch stream here pretty soon. All right, Jan, I think that covers everything. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today and talking about video games, man. I really appreciate it.
It's the only way to start a Wednesday, Grubb.
We have Britton Peel on the show tomorrow, Ben Hansen on the show on Friday, everybody. We're going to get out of here. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. You are the best audience in gaming. Until next time, have a good one. Take care of yourself, and goodbye.